Hello, strangers and rangers. Welcome back. We are going to jump into chapter 3 of Draw Me After You, Let Us Run today. And we're just going to roll right into it. The Grim finds him sitting by the fire in the frozen woods of Albania, easing through his wards like it is nothing but water he needs only to shake off. As he nears Harry, he licks his face all over, and Harry laughs and pushes him away by the muzzle. You're disgusting, Padfoot, Harry huffs. It's cold enough that he should be able to see his own breath, but the warmth of charms keeps him safe from the bitter winter that is settling into the branches of the trees all around them. A cold, wet nose prods at his bandaged palm, a low whine ringing between them, and Harry scratches the big dog behind his ears. He didn't touch me, Harry assures him, smile crooked, pressing his face into warm fur that smells of pine and smoke. Scraped myself up when I fell. I'm fine, Padfoot. Plopping down practically in his lap, Sirius whines again. That sounded wrong. Hold on, I'm going to start that one again. Plopping down practically in his lap, Sirius whines again. You know I'm bollocks at healing charms, Harry shrugs. Padfoot licks at his chin, pulls back, cocks his head. With a grimace, Harry shakes his head. It's not here. Wherever it is, it's not where he found it. With a soft yip, Sirius thumps his tail. I think, Harry sighs, petting over Sirius's head, nose pressing to his muzzle. I think it's time we split up. Sirius whines, long and high. It's as good as a hell no. With a grimace of a smile, Harry pulls back to meet smart, dark eyes. He cups the big dog's face and squishes it up between his hands until Sirius huffs and shifts on the pads of his paws. You know it's true, Harry says. We need more information, and he isn't chasing you. Sirius grumbles out a sound and then lets his head lay heavy over Harry's thighs, as if saying, if you're staying, I'm staying. I need you to go back, Harry says, stroking through his fur. I need you to talk to Dumbledore. Can you do that for me, Padfoot? Burying his face against Harry's stomach, Sirius huffs. His tail thumps twice. With a soft smile, Harry leans down and kisses the top of his head. Thanks, Sirius, he breathes, curled over his head, holding him close. I'll stay safe, and if he gets too close, I'll lead him on a merry chase. I promise. In the warmth of the fire, surrounded by charms and wards as strong as Grimmauld Place, Sirius grumbles his opinions into Harry's stomach the only way he can in this form, with a hint of teeth and a sneeze that nearly knocks Harry onto his back as he laughs. Scene break. The Ministry of Magic is dark and hauntingly empty when they arrive, a far cry from the hustle and bustle of witches and wizards it had been when Harry was last here with Albus Dumbledore defending his use of underage magic in the defense of himself and his cousin against dementors that shouldn't have been there in the first place. His left hand flexes at his side, scars lining the delicate tendons across the back of it as he remembers the first time he'd set eyes on Umbridge. One of the reasons they're standing here at night, breaking into the ministry with the help of a painfully loyal house elf. Scene break. You have a choice, Harry. It's after he's stumbled through the flue, with Sirius at his back. It's after he's placed the necklace carefully on Dumbledore's desk. It's after Dumbledore has pulled the sword of bloody Gryffindor down from his wall and placed it on the desk before him. It's after he's told Harry that this is the first of many, hand hovering over the locket and flinching away from the pulse of dark magic that seems to bleed from it. If you so choose, you could destroy this now, Dumbledore says. Destroy a piece of him before he could ever know. Sirius frowns. Sirius is frowning behind Harry, arms crossed, watching the pair of them. Destroy who? You know who, Harry mutters, inching closer to the desk, the locket, the sword. Dumbledore's mouth twitches, his solemn face blooming in something like wicked amusement. Very apt, my boy. Sirius sputters. Excuse me? There was a piece of you-know-who in my house? So it would seem, Dumbledore says. Harry, destroy it. Sirius is at his side in an instant, hand warm at the center of his back. Destroy it right now. Dumbledore holds up a hand, and Sirius barely holds his tongue. Shuddering, Harry closes his eyes and lets his hands rest at the edge of Dumbledore's desk. He can feel the weight of Sirius's hand on his back and Dumbledore's eyes on him. He can feel the familiar thrumming strength of the sword. He can hear the whisper of a voice that does not belong there. His scar gives a dull throb. He's afraid of what that means. Opening his eyes, he looks up at Dumbledore. "You said there was another piece to the puzzle," he says. Dumbledore nods. "It might help you come to your decision, Harry." "What decision?" Sirius balks. "There is no decision. We destroy the Dark Lord, we go home, we celebrate." "Sirius," Harry breathes, twisting to look at him over his shoulder, catching Sirius's dark eyes and the line between his brows. There's a chance that I could stop him another way." Pause, hold on, sorry, I need to fix an error, so I need to make note of it. There we go. The line between Sirius's brows only deepens. "Weren't you just saying this summer that you wanted to fight, pup?" "Yes," Harry nods. "Yes, I did. And I would. But if there's another way, if there's a chance that I can do better, then I want that chance. I want to be able to..." Harry's voice cracks. He can't say, "I want to be able to sleep at night after," or "I want to be able to live with myself after." Not because they're not how he feels, but because he feels them a little too much. "I don't want to be a killer, Sirius," Harry whispers. "Not if there's another way." Sirius's face softens impossibly. The hand at his back falls away, and at first Harry is terrified by what that means. Then Sirius is pushing his hair back from his face. His thumb is rubbing at Harry's temple. He leans in and presses his nose to Harry's brow. "I forget sometimes that you're still a boy," Sirius confesses. I'm sorry." Harry, still so unused to these types of touches, closes his eyes and leans carefully into it. "It's okay, Padfoot." Dumbledore hums. "Well, now that that is settled, my boys, we have a trip to make." "A trip?" Sirius says, pulling his face away from Harry but staying impossibly close, like he might try and hide him away. "A trip where?" "The Ministry of Magic," Dumbledore says, looking over at the complex timepiece on one of the walls that he pretends to call a clock. "Though I'm afraid that we are on a time crunch, as I believe it would be best if Harry made this decision by the end of the evening. Isn't that right, my boy?" Harry winces, fingers twitching to move up to his scar where it is still painfully and ominously numb. "Yes," he admits. Dumbledore sighs. "It appears, my boys, we may have to break a few laws." Sirius's arm settles easily around Harry's shoulders. His fingers scrub through his hair. Harry tries valiantly not to laugh. "Wouldn't be the first time, would it?" Sirius asks. Scene break. Harry had always thought his scars ugly, a sign of his freakishness, a mark upon his skin that made him other. As time went on, there was nothing to dissuade him of this notion. The most recent, a scrawl of words on the back of his hand given to him by a quill and a woman he is too stubborn to back down from, that marks him a liar. The angry line down the inside of his right wrist, like the mocking inverse of a dark mark from the resurrection ritual that marks him a failure. The welt in the crook of his elbow, a gift from a basilisk's fang, gouging into muscle and tissue that marks him a hero. And there's another typo, excuse me, sorry, forgive me. Boop. And the lightning bolts that streaks across his forehead and into his brow like the first signs of a storm, given to him on a night he remembers most clearly in the midst of nightmares and in the clutches of dementors, given to him by a man who is no longer a man, but who might be, that marks him a survivor. Scene break. Harry doesn't understand house elf magic, but it's stunning sometimes to behold. Dobby is eager to help them into the ministry, eager to pop them right into the Department of Mysteries, to the hallway that Harry has been seeing in his dreams for months, right before the very door that Voldemort himself has been trying to get past. His scar is painfully, horribly numb. Harry does not think that they have much time. Where is this? Harry asks. Dumbledore's smile is grim. Welcome to the Hall of Prophecies, Harry. With a wave of his wand, Dumbledore unlocks the door and they step inside. It is lined with shelf upon shelf upon shelf of orbs, glowing crystals barely lit of all shapes and sizes, a veritable warehouse full of them. Harry stares with wide eyes. He shuffles forward into the room, the sound of Sirius's claws against the stone floor behind him, a decision made at the last moment to conceal him just in case something inevitably goes wrong. What are we doing here? Harry asks on a whisper. But Dumbledore does not reply. Doesn't have to, because Harry can hear something calling his name from the depths of the room, and his feet are taking him toward it before he can stop himself, guiding him blindly deeper and deeper into the long hall of shelves. Padfoot trots after him as he goes. Harry thinks he hears him whine, but Harry is busy following a voice that is coaxing him closer and closer to something that feels a lot like destiny. When he finally stops down one of the long rows of stacks, there's a small orb full of mist glowing faintly before him. He reaches out, fingertips just skimming the surface of the orb, when Padfoot prods him in the back of the knees with his head. Harry blinks, jerking out of his daze, and he glances down at him. When he looks back up, he frowns at the plaque below the glowing sphere. He squints at it, shuffling a touch closer. SPT to APWBD, Dark Lord and Harry Potter. Harry thumbs at the metal plaque, brows drawing together, and still when he hears Dumbledore clear his throat. I think that needs to be a stills. Sorry. Quite a few typos this time. And stills when he hears Dumbledore clear his throat. At the end of the row, Dumbledore stands, his hands behind his back and his head tilted. What is this, Professor? Harry asks. Why is my name on it? Spun glass, Dumbledore says, smile wry when Padfoot grumbles behind Harry. A prophecy, my boy. A prophecy about you. A prophecy that, unfortunately, is the reason Tom is so very focused on you. This is my puzzle piece, Harry asks. Dumbledore nods. Without hesitation, without reservation, Harry reaches up and takes the sphere from its stand. He rolls it between his hands, watching it light up between his palms, mist swirling around inside the glass. You've heard it, Harry says, tapping at the initials APWBD, Albus Percival Wulfric O'Brien Dumbledore, a full name Harry only heard for the first time back in August on the plaque. You know what it says? I do, Dumbledore says, and I know that Tom has heard the very beginnings of it. Why did we come here then? Harry asks. If you already know it, you could have just told me. It is the only record of it ever being spoken, Dumbledore says, and only those mentioned within it can remove it from the hall. So me and Voldemort. Yes. Realization comes easily, softly, horrifically. He's been trying to get it, Harry says, eyes wide, fingers curling tighter around the orb. Oh yeah, he's been trying to get the prophecy, because he's only heard the beginning. Yes, Dumbledore says, holding his ground as Padfoot lets out a snarl of a sound. You brought me here to draw him out. It's not a question. Dumbledore seems to know that. He dips his head in something like agreement anyways, in something like an apology. You are a manipulative old codger, Harry says, without any venom at all. Dumbledore breathes out a laugh, a sigh. It sounds like relief. It has been mentioned before, Dumbledore replies as he meets Harry's gaze again, and Harry offers him a small smile. It is also unfair of me to leave out the fact that the very prophecy in your hand may influence your decision. If this was all a ploy to get Voldemort to show himself, then where is he? Harry asks. And how do I listen to... Harry feels him before he sees him, before he hears him. His scar, scars? No, just scar. Sorry, another typo. His single scar, just the one. Boop. His scar explodes with sensation. He nearly buckles to the floor, voice ripping from his throat on a ragged cry, and it is only Padfoot that keeps him upright with his weight braced against Harry's hip, teeth bared and hackles raised. When Harry turns, squinting through the aftershocks of agony, he sees Lord Voldemort standing at the other end of the row in robes as dark as pitch, with half a dozen Death Eaters at his flank. His wand is held loosely at his side. His smile is tight, inhuman, and unkind. Harry clutches at Padfoot's fur with one hand, the prophecy with the other. He shuffles back a step. Yes, Albus, Voldemort says, Dumbledore's name like a poison in his mouth. Do tell the boy. I'm itching to know myself. Scene break. Harry has always been stunned and humbled by the loyalty of friends, by the unwavering strength of the bonds between people who care relentlessly about one another, by the way a simple act of kindness can bring people so closely together. Scene break. In the stillness of Voldemort's arrival, Harry does not move, does not breathe. Luckily, he does not need to. Dobby is at his side before he can blink, before Voldemort can even raise his wand, and then both he and Padfoot are in the atrium. The rage is quick to follow. Harry falls to his knees this time. His eyes burn. His blood feels like fire. His very skull feels like it might split open, trying to contain all that anger. Dobby, Harry rasps. Dumbledore. Right away, Mr. Harry Potter, sir. Dobby is gone with a pop. Padfoot licks at the tears streaming down his face. Behind him, the fountain fills the atrium with the sound of running water. It is all he can hear for a time outside of the throbbing between his ears. The anger bubbling under his skin makes him squeeze his eyes shut tight, breath coming sharp, and he feels Padfoot's tongue against his forehead. He's bleeding, he realizes. His scar is bleeding. With his eyes closed, he can see flashes of light, of spellfire, of shattering glass. There's a sudden pop behind him, and then Dumbledore is there, crouching before Harry and tipping his face upward. Harry opens his eyes, bleary and blind, and squints at him. We must take our leave now, my boy, Dumbledore says. The ominous rumble of the fountain behind Harry has him stumbling to his feet. His heart is racing. In his hand, the prophecy seems to burn. Dumbledore pulls away from him, wand drawn and face severe, and Harry knows why as a crack of sound rends the air. Scene break. The laws of apparition are simple. Destination, determination, and deliberation. Scene break. It should be impossible to apparate into the atrium from the Department of Mysteries. Harry only learns of this later. All he knows is that Voldemort is there, wards ripped apart from the raw desire to get to them before they can take their leave. All he knows is that Voldemort is casting at them, face twisted in a sneer, and Dumbledore is shoving Harry back and erecting a shield to stop it. Their magic clashes in a shock of light. As another of Voldemort's spells hits the faint shimmering dome encapsulating them, Harry can see the spider webbing of the shield already beginning to fail. It's terrifying. Voldemort is terrifying. Harry doesn't know if he can save him, fix him, as he looks upon him now, casting with rage in every inch of his form, crimson eyes practically glowing. Something swells in Harry's chest. Something he can't name, something he doesn't know the name of, something that tastes inevitable. You cannot protect the boy forever, Albus. Voldemort snarls as Dumbledore whips off a parry of hexes his way, shield charm trembling all around them. Give me the prophecy! Stay back, Harry. Voices, I'm trying. I've forgotten how to do Dumbledore's voice all of a sudden. Stay back, Harry, Dumbledore says. Dobby, get them both away from here. Padfoot nudges at Harry's thighs, crowding him back and away from where Dumbledore is defending them, toward where Dobby is standing. Stumbling back, Harry looks at the orb in his hand, breath coming faster. His thoughts are a rush, a flood, an impossible wave of doubt and hope. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do. Voldemort bares his teeth. A red jet of color clashes with the shield and shatters it completely. Harry's heart lodges itself in his throat. Stop, he gasps. But Dumbledore is busy deflecting Voldemort's spells, and Voldemort is busy trying to get around him, and Padfoot is nudging him closer and closer to where Dobby is watching with wide eyes and wringing hands. Harry swallows, holds the prophecy up in a fist, and locks his knees. Stop! Even over the spellfire, Harry's voice rings out, echoes off the walls of the atrium. The quiet that follows is equally as deafening. Dumbledore does not look at him. Harry thinks perhaps he knows what Harry's doing without sparing a glance. Harry thinks perhaps he expected it. Voldemort doesn't lower his wand, but he does still his magic. Holds steady as his eyes meet Harry's from the space Dumbledore has created between them. His fingers curl over the bleached white of his wand like a spell is on the tip of his tongue, but he holds it back as Harry stands there, trembling, prophecy raised in the air. You want this, Harry says into the quiet. Voldemort's mouth presses into a thin line. His nostrils flare. He looks every inch the monster he's made himself into. Yes, he hisses, practically vibrating with his ire, word drawn out so much it nearly sounds like Parseltongue. One wrong move, Harry says, and I'll smash it. Voldemort's lips curl back into that familiar sneer. Are you attempting to negotiate with me, Harry Potter? No, Harry says. I'm threatening you. Oh. Voldemort barks out a laugh. It grates, harsh and echoing, and makes Harry cringe. What an absolute delight to think that you could threaten me. You want this, Harry snaps, taking a step forward, hands still raised, and Voldemort stiffens as Dumbledore shifts to try and stay between them. I can feel how much you do, but me? I don't. Dumbledore seems to start a little at that. His face turns, lips pursed in a frown as he regards Harry. Harry, he says, voice low with warning, but Harry keeps his eyes on Voldemort. Don't you, though? Voldemort asks, soft, almost like he's trying to tempt Harry. We could listen to it, right now, the both of us. We could find out just what path the universe has set out for us. You're talking of fate? I'm speaking of destiny, Harry Potter, Voldemort says. Don't you want to know your destiny? As Harry stands there staring down his parents' killer, he feels the precipice he's been hovering on the edge of finally demand its presence be known. The decision Dumbledore left him with to destroy Voldemort or to save him, the final piece of the puzzle gripped tight in his hand. Sweat rolls down the back of his neck. His stomach clenches. Padfoot presses to his leg, ears twitching. Harry can hear the sound of shouting, of boots on stone, of the Death Eaters coming to find their lord. Harry, Dumbledore breathes, urgent and urging in equal measure. We do not have much time. Harry wets his lips, carefully lowering his hand as Voldemort watches. He sees the faintest softening of his face, relief, Harry realizes, and feels himself fall over the edge of choice. I don't believe in destiny, Harry says. And, standing there with Death Eaters right around the corner and the Dark Lord waiting before him, Harry holds out the orb. But I believe I would like to negotiate now. Scene break. One act, one simple change in course, can affect the outcome of everything to come. End chapter 3. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Thank you very much once again for joining me on this read-through of Draw Me After You, Let Us Run. If you want links to my Patreon, if you would like links to my Tumblr or to the story as a whole, please see the description down below. It is all there for you. I hope you enjoyed the silly voices, and I'll try to get chapter 4 out to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye!